I'm recording. That's a terrifying King Louis. What in the cock?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I might just be. This might just have to do with cultural osmosis, and I might just be stubborn. But I honestly just know in my heart that if I watch any of those live action Disney remakes, that I will hate them.
Yeah, the only one like I said, that I truly enjoyed was Dumbo. Um, it is really, really well done. And it's a Tim Burton movie where he got his head out of his own ass and actually made a good movie for the first time in 20 years.
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton.
What was the last thing that guy did?
Like, actually the last thing he did, or the last thing of relevance?
Little A, little B. He made the. Did he stop making movies after Alice in Wonderland?
Well, no, he did Wednesday for Disney
Oh, okay.
and technically Dumbo was after Alice in Wonderland as well.
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess I figured there's a gap. Just learning about Dumbo and having forgotten about Wednesday. I guess my real question is, what have I forgotten about that came out after the Alice in Wonderland movies? Because I feel like
Um,
he didn't do a ton, but I could be forget. I'm sure there's things I just didn't know about or didn't care about after that.
Specifically as a director, he did Alice in Wonderland in 2010. And then other big ones since then that he's done are Dark Shadows, Frankenweenie,
Uh oh, okay.
Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, which
Oh,
is it's a good movie.
yeah, you're correct about that.
Yeah, and then Dumbo, and then Wednesday. He's got a couple other movies listed in there that he's directed between them, but uh,
I
those are the
actually.
big ones. Apparently, he's been doing music videos for the Killers
Oh,
off and
okay.
on for the last 20 years.
Well, all right, Tim
He's got a
Burton.
couple of them, yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
But
yes.
back to the show.
Yeah, what's going on? This is episode 2. I almost said 3. What do you
Well,
got for me?
it's our third episode.
Right,
It's
exactly.
This is Charlie X, directed by Lawrence Dobkin, written. Well, the story was written by Roddenberry, but the teleplay was by DC Fontana. Originally, air date is September 15th of 1966, and IMDb gave it a 7 out of 10.
Wow, okay. Yeah, we're still getting high marks for a lot of these going into the beginning.
Yeah, no, the intro. Apparently, the first few episodes at least have all been critically pretty decent. I think IMDb is critical, isn't it? And sorry, it's the critics, right? Or is it fans?
I do not know where IMD gets their numbers from.
I also don't know.
IMDb.
But yeah, no. So it's still getting rated pretty well. And this is the one where the kid was trapped for 14 years without human contact and just had the computer to learn how to talk.
Oh, is
And
that what happens here?
yeah, I remember this episode. The kid was pretty memorable. He does a very good job of being a creeper. He makes the salt monster look like nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I very vaguely remember this, and my biggest impression is that I recall being really annoyed by this kid.
Oh, he's a little shit.
Yeah, I recall feeling like, Jesus, shut up.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
That's how I recall feeling about this episode.
Valid. He's a little shit. He's awful.
Okay.
But yeah, no. It's gonna be fun. I think. He gets like psychic powers or something.
Right.
He can,
Yeah.
He can like read minds or manipulate stuff. I don't know. And yeah, he's just
And he uses it to be a little
picture.
bastard.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a teenager who's never had any parents telling him what to do, right? So he can do whatever. He's always done whatever he wants, right?
Yeah. In fact, I recall thinking about Q a lot.
In some ways, yeah, there is that little crossover, isn't there? Of just like the poorly behaved, omni-powerful person.
Right. Like, why would I even care what anyone else thinks about what I'm doing?
Yeah.
That attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's another one that I like we talked about last episode. It's another one that I always think it's further into the program, like the show, than it is.
Yeah. I feel like who's the guy that like really almost becomes God or something?
Oh, that's the guy that gets referenced in the Lower Decks episode where
Yeah. They
Sean
named
Sean knows him, and I always forget his name.
I think they tried to make us
Gary Mitchell. Gary Mitchell.
Yeah, is that who they tried to make us think Benedict Cumberbatch? Did Benedict Cumberbatch play Gary Mitchell, or am I just getting more confused about multiple things?
I think you're getting confused. Benedict Cumberbatch plays Khan in in the movies.
But he has another name first.
Does he?
I think he's because it's a reveal, and no one was surprised because. But like, yeah, he's called something else.
I just remember being called Khan.
And then like halfway through the movie, he's like, for no reason, he's like, "Stop calling me that. I am Khan." And like it was supposed to be a big reveal, but as I recall, everyone knew already. And also, it's really an insane thing. There was no reason for it to be a reveal. Again, this is all what I remember from a movie I watched 10 years ago and the cultural phenomenon surrounding it. So that could all be totally incorrect. But I recall him revealing it just for no reason, and it was very dramatic and no one cared. But I don't know if he was Gary Mitchell or not. But
I don't remember what his name was in there other than Khan off the top of my head.
Yeah. I'll try to stop speculating about stuff I know nothing about. But I recall something where like they tried to say that he was cast as some other crew member, some other name, and somehow everyone knew he was going to be Khan. And there was some other name going around, and it was some reference to the original series. Like it was and I don't know if it was Gary Mitchell, but really what I was going to say is that I get Gary Mitchell and Charlie X confused about where this episode takes place. Like, I get a lot of episodes confused together. So,
well, it's unfortunately if you're not somebody who's watching this stuff every day regularly. Like I've said it before on here. Like I'm not great at keeping track of what's what with the episodes. I forget which ones are where. I have scenes that I've put from episodes in other episodes altogether.
Yeah, exactly.
For a good example is when I was refreshing which episode this was really quickly, like glancing at the synopsis before we started. It mentions about like a scene where Uhura is singing while Spock plays his instrument, and I did not remember that being in this episode at all. Like that scene did not match for this episode. I've got that in. There's another episode where they picked up a pile of hippies off of a planet. I have it that she was singing along to Spock and them in that episode instead. So it's great. It's great when you got it all as like one big jumbled mess, but it's all good stuff, Yeah,
totally.
But yeah.
So we have a few clarifications about some things. Well, sort of a mixed grab bag. Some of them are omissions, and some of them are things that we may have either overlooked or not known about. So I guess the first one is an omission. I forgot when I was talking about the terrible things that happen to people in Star Trek, last week's question of the week. I forgot Pete's answer, which is the guy that gets put into the teleportation buffer with Scotty, and they're only able to pull out Scotty and not the other guy because the other guy's signal degraded over time into nothing. Which is sorry.
No, I was agreeing that would be pretty shitty.
Yeah, it's a weird and creepy one.
It is.
Anything involving the teleporter. So, the question of the week this week, which I didn't ask you in the previous segment, and maybe that's how we'll begin the show, with me asking you the question of the week. I mean, we can begin it any way we want in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But the question this week is, what is your favorite special power that someone has or receives on Star Trek? And we specified that it could be an innate power of the character's race. It could be a magical power they receive. It could be some kind of technological ability that they have. But yeah, the coolest thing that someone can do in Star Trek.
See, it's a problem because, like, I don't always feel like there's a lot of necessarily special powers that come up in the show, right? Other than, like, you know, the major race-wide ones. We've got the Q, we've got the Beta Zeds, and we've got, like, the Borg are the major three that come to mind for me. Okay. Obviously, Klingons and Vulcans, everyone has their own little flavor, right? But
Klingons have a neat special ability that their organ systems are redundant. So, like, if they lose one heart, they can just start using the other one.
Yeah, and there's a lot of really cool, but there's stuff, the Freemans, Romulans, Vulcans, and Klingons are a lot more subtle in their abilities.
Yeah.
Because really, I mean, Klingons are basically, we're super strong and we have backups so we can get stabbed.
Yeah. We're cool with getting stabbed.
Which, I mean, that makes sense with how they're presented, but that's really, I don't know, I've always liked the Q a lot. I hate the idea of the immortal, though, that comes with it. You know what I mean? Because, like, I have to feel like they cover it in, I think it was Voyager, where one of the Q is bored out of his mind and he just wants to die.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure I'd be that Q. You know what I mean? So, like, I love the idea of their power suite. I think I'd get bored and want to kill myself too quickly, though.
Fair.
Yeah. But I think this is a hard question. It really, because so much of it is so subtle, I feel like it's a harder question than the last couple weeks have been, you know?
Sure, yeah. And, I mean, Q is a good question. I mean, a good answer. It's definitely on par with Charlie and also the episode we're going to be talking about next week.
Yeah.
Even though you and I are going to be talking about it in about 5 minutes, which is
yeah,
Where No Man Has Gone Before.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there
Gary Mitchell?
Gary Mitchell. It's a very Q-like superpower, but this is much like Riker, a man who receives godlike powers, and what does he do with them?
Yeah.
I was going to ask if there's an episode. Now we're off topic, of course. I was going to ask if there was an episode of TNG called Where No Man Has Gone Before, where, like, Wesley pilots them to the edge of the universe in a magical warp drive accident.
So there is a Next Gen episode that has a very similar name. It's called Where No One Has Gone Before.
Ah, of course. Yes.
And that's actually pretty early in the season. It's the series, sorry. It's episode 6 of the first season.
Right, I saw that in a movie theater.
You saw where No One Has Gone Before in a movie theater?
Yes, when they first put out the TNG episodes on Blu-ray disc, they had a special event in movie theaters, and you could go and watch that episode followed by The Measure of a Man, I think. Or it could be the first one with Lore, if the first one with Lore is in the first season. But some Data episode.
Okay. I don't know. We didn't have anything like that I can think of up my area. But that would have been really cool. I don't think until the remakes I've seen any Star Trek in theaters until the Chris Pine movies. I don't even think I saw the classic Star Trek, like the TNG movies, in theaters. I think my family felt I was too young for it or something, you know?
I recall seeing First Contact in a theater when I was probably fairly young, probably like 13 or 12, something like that. So not super young. Old enough for Star Trek.
Yeah, no, I think I caught all of them DVD, but I don't think any of them were in movie theater for me. I mean, First Contact specifically, like as you've mentioned it came out in 96, so I would have been 11 when it came out.
I would have been older than, yeah.
So a lot of it was my family had control still on what I got to go to the movies for because they were paying for it, you know what I mean? So
for sure. So one other thing, which we are going to mention in this episode, Charlie X, is I believe I talk a little bit about Khan and how when that movie, or the second Star Trek Into Darkness, when that movie came out, there was some mystery over the fact that the character was even going to be Khan, Benedict Cumberbatch.
And we couldn't remember his name.
Yes, I got to the bottom of it, and it is John Harrison. And as far as I know, John Harrison, that's the only John Harrison in Star Trek. Everything I tried to search on Memory Alpha all just led back to Khan, in parentheses, alternate universe.
Mm-hmm.
There is a theory that he was John Harrison the whole time. He was a guy named John Harrison that got some powers and decided to call himself Khan as part of his scam.
Even regular Wikipedia, if you look for John Harrison, takes you right to actual Khan from like the 60s. So
I wonder if he was ever called John Harrison in the 60s. Probably not. That would have been because the whole point of the reason they called him that was so they didn't want anyone to know. And we'll talk. You're going to hear about this later. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last thing is that in the last episode, The Man Trap, we talked a lot about how it was the pilot and compared it to the other pilot, episode 0, and we're actually going to watch the actual second pilot later on today. But what we found out, and we'll talk about it later this episode again, this kind of came up, that there are two orders that you find this show presented in. The one that we're watching is the release order. So when we talk about people seeing this on TV for the first time and stuff like that, will be accurate in that sense. But that's not the order they were made in, and it wasn't the order they were intended to be presented in. So the alternate order is the order they're intended to be presented in which case the second pilot is Where No Man Has Gone Before, which we've already mentioned a couple times. So now we know, basically. So we're gonna be watching these and presenting these in the order that they were aired. But the story, and we got some info out of Saint about how maybe I'll just read something that Saint said.
Go for it.
Yes, for season 1 of TOS, if I recall, they basically had a hard time convincing the TV execs to keep putting out episodes, so they were releasing what they thought would draw more people first, or something. Very tortured production history. So, yeah, so we're going to be watching the order in which they aired. And that's about all of the clarifications and stuff.
The only thing I'm going to add really quickly about the watch order, it is only season 1 that is affected by this. So seasons 2 and of TOS and on right to wherever we end up at, as far as we know, should all be in the correct quote-unquote order, which is also release order.
Yep.
It's just this one season that's messed up.
Yeah. Hello, and welcome once again, for the third time, to The Least Ready Room, a Star Trek podcast where my friend Chris and I and various other people that are in our social circle through Discord or whatever watch. Well, me and Chris are going to watch every single episode of Star Trek and movie and every piece of Star Trek media that has ever come out. And when we watch them all, we're going to watch whatever came out while we were watching this. We did the math. I think it's going to take 17 years or something. And then we'll watch everything else that came out during that 17 years. Boy, the world is going to be different. We're going to speed run it. We're going to do it in like 15 years. So we're on episode 2 of the release order, which we just discussed, of the original series. This is the 3rd episode of this podcast. So, yeah, thank you for being here. And that's the premise. And you heard our clarifications and kind of what we're doing. And, yeah, we got a guest segment this week with Weebs and Saint and a little bit of Fickle Pickle Pie. Got an opinion on Charlie X from those guys. And let's listen to that. And then we'll talk to Chris with our full coverage of this episode. Thanks. Yeah, I said thanks for being here, but I mean it doubly. If that's the 3rd time I've said it, then, you know. Welcome to the Least Ready Room. Here we go. So I am gonna start recording right now because I've just decided. Well, I got a sort of loose 5 questions that I'm kind of working with approaching this show with people,
Right.
and
Right.
The first one kind of is in two parts, and I decided I'm going to do the first part before the episode, and the first part is when do you think have you seen this one? When do you think you've last seen it? And it's Charlie X.
Um, I am pretty sure I have seen it. I've seen. I feel pretty confident saying I think I've seen all of the first and second seasons of TOS
Okay.
and much of the third season. Um, growing up, my mom had VHS tapes of like the whole show.
I saw that. That's amazing. That's so cool.
She
Still having VHS tapes is a really cool thing.
And this was back in the 80s when I was like 7 or 8 years old, and me and my little sister were finally old enough to be in school, and she could go back to like start working again, and she got a part-time job at Walden Books in Denver Fair Mall.
Oh, cool!
And she could order and get them on her employee discount, so she splurged and she got herself the whole TOS collection. So I grew up on those. Charlie X. When you gave me the synopsis earlier on Discord, I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember this one now. I've seen this one." But it's been a really long time, so I do not remember much. I don't remember much in the way of any details.
Okay. I'll tell you what my favorite scene is afterwards, but you might be able to tell. There's a real silly one in this episode. Hey, Fickle. How is everyone?
Hey, Fickle.
And and we were just about to start, so yeah. Unless you have any further speculation, Saint?
No. Let's go.
Right. Cool. Yeah, how did you guys like Charlie X?
That was a good one. I had completely forgotten it, except for the faceless yeoman.
Oh yeah, I love the faceless lady. I love faceless ladies. Like that's something that a lady without a face really speaks to me every night.
Or does she?
It's very Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Or Silent Hill. Which one has a faceless nurses in it?
Silent Hill. Well, probably both. Silent Hill is very famous for a variety of nurses.
Yeah.
Yeah. I came in halfway.
Yeah.
But it just made me more eager to see more TOS.
Awesome. I'm really glad that I'm glad that this is something that we're doing. I really slept on this show my whole life.
I love this show. I've loved this show from the time I was a little kid. So I'm excited to have other people discovering it and recognizing how awesome it is.
I'm glad to have a variety of experience sets.
I've never seen this before, and I've caught maybe 2 episodes. Maybe it's really intriguing, and that was terrifying. Whatever that all was.
A lot of things. They were terrifying in a lot of different ways. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Me personally, I might just finally be mature enough to watch a character-driven TV show from the 1960s, and so.
Right. Because there are definitely some episodes too that are less character-driven and are more this kind of action.
Yeah.
And I definitely think I probably rewatched more of those, just because when I was a kid, that those are the ones I wanted to watch. But I did start to remember this one as it went along. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember the dude with the crazy eyes, and I remember the faceless lady.
Everyone does. I feel like I might have gotten this a little bit wrong, but at least, and in fact, I wonder if I picked out something else as something that I saw that is still in Star Trek that might have been the first time. Well, if this is truly if we're treating the release order as canon, this is the first Q type entity or Q type situation.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yep.
It
And
also
there will be many, many more. There are so many,
including next week's.
there are so many energy beings of infinite power out there.
Spoiler alert, the next episode is very similar to this without the 17-year-old sexual undertones.
Yeah, there's so many. There are so many space gods.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, it's TOS definitely veers between this sort of high concept stuff to
beating up a lizard man.
Beating up a lizard man with a styrofoam rock.
Yeah. There's a lot of different types of episodes, but they really led with the Twilight Zone horror.
Yeah, the sort of cerebral sci-fi kind of.
And for anyone who hasn't, there is sort of an anecdote about how, as this was being released, they were shipping out the episodes they had in whatever order they thought would impress the audience or the critics or whoever. Right. They were like, let's get our best ones out there. So they thought, let's do the cerebral and the.
It makes sense for something experimental.
Yeah.
Yeah, because for me, I didn't realize that they came out in a different publication order.
Right.
And so, I was like, oh yeah, no, the first episode is Where No Man Has Gone Before, and I didn't even know about the Cage for a long time because I don't think the Cage was even in that. Pile of VHSs my mom had.
Oh, it probably was not. Yeah.
No, yeah, I don't think it was.
And those are just labeled as the title of the episode, not in any kind of. They're not numbered, are they?
No, they're numbered.
Oh, they are. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, and they're numbered with Where No Man Has Gone Before is like number 1, and I think Charlie X is like 5 or 6 or something. So
that's the intended order. Yeah,
I guess so.
Yeah, that's the order they were like written, and that's the order they're supposed to be in, and then the broadcast order is what we're watching.
The Stardate orders are, if you line up the Stardate orders, that's the order they go in, and apparently that's the order they were also produced in.
Yep.
So yeah,
and that's sort of how the story was. Like little things, little bits of character development we might see out of order, are because
but shows like this are we're really meant
they're
to
very self-contained.
They're very self-contained and episodic. Like you just have to know the general. Like yes, they're in a spaceship. They're flying through space. There's a guy who's the captain, and a doctor, and an alien science dude, and they have adventures. And
yeah, there you go. Yeah, there it is, Weebs.
Incredible.
Yeah, you like her.
Very much.
If it's not clear, Weebs located and posted a picture of the faceless lady from this episode. Something in this episode that maybe happens for the first time. And I almost, in the one after this, the Gary Mitchell episode, the same thing happens, and I was almost like, oh man, is that the first time this happens? And I guess not, because I forgot it happens to Charlie, which is they throw him in the force field room and he hits the force field and it zaps him and gets hurt. So like that might be the first time we see that force field where someone gets zapped. Although I'm not sure if he did the whole pantomime where he touches it, realizes there's a force field, and then like he goes and like hits it harder and gets actually hurt. I think he just teleports out instead. But so it's not the full force field trope, but that was and weird like physical force field emitters slid out of the wall to zap him, kind of.
Right. Yeah.
Then we're yeah. So there's not. Oh boy, now I'm just looking at. I love the faceless lady. I like her so much more now that I can get a good look at her.
I know she lived in my memory for so long, and she was only on the screen for less than a second.
Less than a second, yeah.
She was there for a split second, oh my god, no face.
It's really scary. I mean, The same thing happens in that Twilight episode. Well, maybe not the episode, but in the movie, there's definitely a girl, at least without a mouth.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's something about as a child. If I had seen this, I probably did see this as a child because this kind of thing definitely lingers in my, scary instincts, in my spider sense. Avoid ladies without faces peering around corners. That was put in me as a child.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh shit! There's really an enemy in Ghostwire Tokyo. That's a lady with no face.
Oh, that
Yeah.
sounds very likely.
Yeah.
So this isn't too. We don't really have to take apart the metaphor of this one. This one is really about just sort of abuse of control and people who are little shits.
Yeah, and they don't really solve the problem.
No, they don't. His parents come and take him and say he can never live in society.
He can stay as ex machina away.
Yeah.
It's a metaphor for autism, maybe. I don't know.
Could be the way he simply cannot relate to or understand everyone else. But in that case, the message is, well, get rid of him. It's not the message. It's just how the narrative unfolds this time.
I don't even think it's autism. I think it's just if you give someone the power to grant wishes for themselves,
It's bad.
It's not going to work out.
Almost always.
Absolute power.
As we're going to see next week
Yeah.
when the same thing happens. To an adult man.
You know who does handle it really well?
Light Yamagami.
William Riker.
Oh, and that was we can
That was
skip
funny.
we can skip ahead for a second.
That was like when we said what's the
What is the
Who's-
best special power someone gets or has? Yeah.
it was like when Riker's Q. He does some cool stuff when he's Q. That's a good episode.
Now, is that episode? Does that take place in season 1 or 2?
Oh, I forget.
Because
I don't remember.
I'm starting to feel ashamed of this thing I'm about to say. But when I watch DS9 or TNG or Voyager, I start at season 3. I do not watch seasons 1 or 2 of any of those shows.
I'll watch S1 of Voyager.
Okay.
But DS9 and TNG, S1 and 2 don't exist.
My Star Trek watching experience has always been just whatever's on, whatever's out of order, whatever's on TV at that time. The concept of like watching Star Trek in order is a little weird to me, in fact, because again, like when I had all these VHS tapes at home, I just grabbed the episodes I liked. I'd be like, I'm not watching these in order. I'm gonna skip ahead. I like this episode. I'm gonna watch this one. And it was funny because I remember specifically talking with my mom about this too. When TNG came out, me and my family were living in Singapore.
Okay.
And it came out on TV in Singapore like 2 years after it came out in the United States. So I watched like the first season in Singapore and like a little bit of the second season. And then when I moved back to the United States, they were in the middle of the fourth season or the fifth season.
Oh, okay, yeah. So there was a
chunk of like the middle of Star Wars that I just did not watch. Or Star Trek.
I do that. Yep.
I think you said that in a lot.
I'm going to say it a lot. We're doing it right now.
The star the Star shows.
Star show. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that an equilibrium kind of. Yeah. You miss some good stuff, some bad stuff.
Yeah, and when I look at a list of like episodes for TNG and TOS, I can be like, yep, these ones I definitely didn't see, and these ones I definitely did see, and I've never watched 100% of Star Trek.
And by the way, that's what it was like. If you missed 3
Yeah.
seasons of Star Trek in 1992, you didn't get to see them until 2004, unless you,
Yeah.
unless you caught them on reruns when they were infinitely on the weekends eventually.
Yeah. When they get a syndication or whatever, you go
Yeah.
watch them on fucking what were those TV stations that were always running them?
Well, around here, there was a Fox station where they would run, and it was when you got home from school on Fox. There was like a bunch of sitcoms and The Simpsons and Star Trek at like 6 p.m.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we had.
Yeah.
Dark Ages, like living
Dark
in a
Ages.
cave. Yeah.
Yeah. What are we watching on TV? I don't know. Whatever they're putting on for us, we
That's
don't get
correct.
to pick. We don't get to pick. I tried to explain this concept to my 8-year-old, and he just looked at me blankly. He's like, "Wait, what?"
I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, how can you explain that to someone that has any TV show or any joke they ever heard or anything they can think of just in a device in their pocket immediately?
Yeah, and I mean, he doesn't have his own phone right now, but he's grown up. his
But he
media-
knows what it's. Yeah, he knows what's
media
out there.
grown up with this like streaming media and
Mhm.
YouTube, and like
If you like an episode, you can watch it over and over again every day for the rest of your life. That's what it is.
And
That's you got it.
and like yeah, and I haven't had cable for probably like 20 years. So
Yeah, it's a new
And then-
age.
in this day and age, the only reason to subscribe to cable is if you like to watch live sports.
Yeah,
That's-
and you can
that's-
also just subscribe to YouTube for that. Also,
Yeah, there's other options now too.
yeah. So, Weebs, your answer to the question of week was Riker's superhuman fuckboy status.
That's right.
That is
Good.
an amazing answer.
Wrecker fucks a lot. I know other people fuck, but he's the one that's known for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even after a while, Kirk is like off his game. Like after the original series, and like when you get into the movie era of Kirk,
Oh
he's
yeah,
like,
that's over. Yeah.
he's like, I'm too old and dignified to fuck. But like Riker as an old man is still like a silver fox.
He's still putting out that energy.
Yeah, that's just Jonathan Frakes, I guess.
He might be one of the
Frosted
first. Sorry,
Frosted Frakes.
Frosted Frakes. Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's a good flavor. I've been
I'll be
talking
back.
a little bit about like there's a bunch of different flavors of Riker. There's like the old frosted one, and there's the lower decks one, which I've been referring to as medium Riker. He's not TNG Riker, but he's not old Riker. There's a medium Riker on lower decks. I'm glad there's a lot of Riker around. We're almost by the way, I'm also glad that we're gonna get done with Picard season 2 and we'll get to see everybody hanging out. I want to watch season 3 again. I mean, I mentioned that enough. But I'm excited to watch that again. So my favorite, the scene that I told you that I really, really liked, other than the faceless woman, the scene I really liked is Uhura singing the Katy Perry song to Spock.
Oh, yeah.
About Spock. Like intensely, I'm being playfully annoying, intensely flirting with him, and he's not flirting back.
Yeah, he's got a little smile on his face.
Yeah. Did Spock ever smile? I guess he did. Here he's. I mean, I know he smiles all the time. He's such a bozo.
Yeah, but yeah, he's not Data.
Right. Yeah.
But no, yeah, Uhura basically like freestyling it because she makes up a song about Charlie when he comes in.
Yeah, and it's a weird scene. It's out of place and it's extremely fun and it's right up my alley. Like this is what I want to see. I want to see Uhura freestyling while Spock plays his harp, talking about how he's wearing the devil's guise and hypnotizing and brutalizing the hearts of the women he meets.
Yikes.
Yeah, have you not? Do you have Paramount?
No.
I
That's
will.
right. You came halfway through and you missed that scene. That's good, man.
Before we wrap up, and I mean, let me say thank you to both of you and Fickle Pickle Pie. But before we move on to, I mean, what I mean to say is after we wrap up, before we move on to watching a couple episodes of Picard, or I will show you that scene because it's Uhura singing to Spock and it's incredible. It's like it's out of place. It's amazing.
Dude, Nichelle
Uhura's
Nichols.
hot.
Yeah,
Yes.
Nichelle Nichols is
care.
an amazing singer, and this is not the only time in Star
No,
Trek
yeah.
where she's like, "I'm just gonna sing a song."
She gets to sing here and there. Yeah.
Yeah, she does that whole fucking feather dance in Star Trek 5 or
Man.
6. 6,
Oh.
I think. She breaks him out of the prison.
It is.
And-
Oh, is that 5 or 6?
I don't remember.
I think I want to say it's 6.
6.
Yeah, I want to say it's 6.
6 where they go to the prison. Yeah,
I
the
was-
undiscovered country.
I was just thinking to myself, did someone reference the feather dance on Lower Decks? But whether they did or not, I'll tell you where I heard a feather dance reference recently. And I can't believe, Saint. Do you know where I heard someone reference the feather dance that you heard it as?
Oh, what?
It was Nichelle Nichols referencing it, if that helps.
Was it on Futurama? 'Cause
Yes.
there's a whole Star Trek Futurama episode. It's the best.
Of all the episodes that you've showed me, I can't believe that did not immediately.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, that's a good episode, and it's similar to what happens to Charlie. The bad guy's parents come and take him home.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That also happens to. I'm not sure if that's exactly what happens to Baylock. Do you know who I'm talking about?
That name sounds
The Corbomite maneuver.
very familiar. No, yes, that's right. The Corbinite maneuver. Which is like the second episode or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know if his parents actually take him home, but spoilers. It turns out the scary alien is like a child. It's Ron Howard's brother. Total spoilers, I guess. Sorry. It's going to be in like 5 episodes from now.
Dude, these shows came out
1966.
in 1966. Like, what is that? Like 58 years ago.
Wow, congratulations, guys.
So
Whoever's in charge of Star Trek.
I think we're well past the statute of limitations on spoilers.
Yeah, true.
For sure. Would you guys like to give a number out of 10 to this episode?
I will give this episode a solid 8.5.
Great, wow.
For good writing, for good acting, for Uhura's crazy little song and Spock's little harp, and also the fucking workout gear.
Oh my god, Kirk's pants, yeah.
Just all the workout gear that these
Biggies and
guys
stuff, yeah.
and the
It was
fucking
cool.
Pujol sticks in the background.
Yeah, that whole scene was really neat. A lot of extras doing cool stuff.
Yeah, and just the way they were talking about the food and stuff, they were like, the food concentrates, and it reminds you that it's like, this is early Trek. We weren't talking about replicators
Yeah,
and
no
shit.
replicators, yep.
Yeah, and I ding it a couple points because the solution to the problem is the Deus Ex Machina. They're basically like, okay, the parents show up and take them away.
Sure. Yep.
They didn't actually solve anything. It just happened. It just stopped. What was happening to them just stopped happening.
And that a lot of the times that's how a Star Trek episode ends.
Yeah,
Sometimes it just kind of stops happening. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's like that's like the thing. It's just like an experience. Like we experienced something weird.
Yep.
And now we just have to keep going. Maybe a couple red shirts are dead. In this one, everyone got brought back apparently.
Yeah,
So-
good. So that's pretty relieving.
So the only
last week that did not happen.
The only damage is extreme mental trauma, I guess.
Horrible little shit child. I didn't give this. Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm allowed to change when I watched this a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I gave it a low rating, and I feel more, especially, I feel I would give it a higher rating looking at it now. When I was watching this, the first time I was very annoyed with Charlie, and I happened to be thinking about Light Turner, and I'm very annoyed with these types of characters, and I was like, by the way, that movie, I watched that movie last night, and I can't wait to show it to you.
Oh boy.
I would move this to a 6 or 7. I was just so annoyed with Charlie, but now that I got to look at it and like look at what happened, so many cool things happened, and Uhura, yeah, I'll give this a 7. I'll change my.
I'd say above 5.
Above 5, good. Okay.
Even having come in halfway through.
I'm probably gonna up my rating by like I've got rating inflation for any TOS episode just because of nostalgia.
Sure, so yeah.
Assume I'm like a point higher than is reasonable at all times.
Great, I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, there's some neat stuff in this one. So anyway, so thank you to both of you.
Thank you.
You ever watch The Twilight Zone?
I've seen like in the 90s when it was still on TV. I saw a couple of episodes once or twice, but I didn't. It wasn't something I watched regularly. I mostly know it through osmosis of pop culture, the way like the gremlin on the airplane wing kind of thing, you know?
Oh yeah. You know about the Third Rock from the Sun?
I do know the show that John Lithgow and Joseph Gordon-Levitt started out on that show. I know a bit. Again, not something I watched a lot, but
John Lovett's boss is William Shatner, and William Shatner comes to visit from the other side of the country.
Okay.
And John Lovett says, "How was your flight?"
Lithgow. Lovitz was the short, fat guy who did the critic.
Sorry, yeah, Lithgow. Lithgow says, "How was your flight?" to William Shatner. And William Shatner says, "It was terrible. There was some kind of little monster on the wing of the plane." And John Lithgow says, "The same thing happened to me."
All right.
In the episode of the TV show, William Shatner sees the monster on the wing of the plane.
Mm-hmm.
They made a movie in the 80s where they remade 4 or 5 episodes of the original series, and one of them is that episode, and it's John Lithgow that it happens to.
That's cool.
Yeah. Another episode that got remade in that movie is called It's a Good Life. And it's about a kid. It's about an annoying asshole kid. Everyone has to do whatever he wants to do all the time, because if you don't do what he wants to do, he will send you away. Just like Charlie X. And interesting that we keep running into things that scared me and put an indelible mark on me when I was a child, but in the movie version of that, something that like really, really did something to my mind when I was a kid is the child with the superpowers takes away his sister's mouth. He doesn't do the whole face.
Yeah, but no, I have no mouth and therefore I cannot scream. Or whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, the image of her with no mouth on her face, like when I was, like 7, was just, it wasn't something I expected to see, and I did not like looking at it.
Yeah, no, it feels like it's the I mean, you and I both talked about both of us having issues with dolls, and it feels like it's just a slight step above creepy doll.
Sure. Yeah.
Like there's creepy doll, and then slightly less terrifying but still terrifying is creepy doll with no face. The lack of the staring and the beady eyes, at least for me, is a little bit less scary.
Sure. Yeah. And in fact, I almost think that a face with only eyes on it is like one of the most scary things.
Oh, definitely.
Like, some people, a very common scary thing is a face with only a mouth on it. But I think that's just intimidating. Like a face with only eyes is something's gone. Like, you know what? You ever hear someone say that, like, maybe the reason a lot of us have this fear of some kind of large-headed gray alien with big eyes is that in the distant past we were hunted by such creatures, and so we have this memory, we all have this fear of some other race hunting us down. You ever hear anyone say that?
Actually, it's funny you mention that. So I still am quite active watching the TikToks. I don't make them, but I watch them, right?
Sure.
And I ran into one. I'm not even kidding. Like, I think it was this morning or last night, where a person was talking about the Uncanny Valley and a potential reason why we have such an issue with the Uncanny Valley and cannibalism as a whole scares us so much. The idea that Neanderthals did not have the prion disease issue, so they could eat each other, and cannibalism was quite common with Neanderthals. And so early Homo sapiens, because Neanderthals look very similar to us, like, learned to stay away from them because they'll eat us, and that's bad for us. So the Uncanny Valley is now in place because of our fear of Neanderthals.
And something that looks kind of just slightly different and not exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Also, don't eat people. Oh, you can eat people if you don't like, but like, don't eat the brain. The brain will kill you.
Oh, that's the problem, the brain?
Yeah, the prions live inside the brain, and so if you eat the brain, you end up getting the prions transmitted into you, and it's like getting rabies. You're screwed. Once they've taken hold, you're dead. There's no treatment, as far as I know.
What are prions?
Prions are a specific type of transmissible disease, but my understanding is it's mostly only in, like, contaminated brain matter. So a good example is, like, mad cow disease is that kind of a reaction to it, like the way that transmits and all that is the same kind of an idea. It's just, I don't think mad cow is actual prions, but it's that same kind of an idea that happens to humans. Yeah. No, yeah, it is. Mad cow disease is a prion disease, as I'm Googling it really quickly.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. I just couldn't remember if Creutzfeldt-Jakob was a prion or not for sure. But yeah, so don't eat brains. And if and when you hear about, anything with mad cow disease, avoid it. Don't eat that food. Just don't, because it will kill you.
I do have a policy of avoiding mad cow disease infected meat.
Well, it's the same with humans. avoid
human infection.
But that's the thing. Like, we are actually completely safe to eat, generally speaking, outside of the obvious, like, STDs that are and such that are transmissible via fluid contact. Outside of that sort of stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can eat humans as long as you don't eat the brain. The brain is the problem. And I recognize that I have a weird knowledge about stuff, and I'm sorry that this is where it's said. But you asked, I'm like, yeah, no, this is
sure.
This is where it is.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was like, if that was something where, like, we all have a certain type of infection, but, like, our own brains, like our own brain worms, and
I'm not sure. I don't know. Like, I'm not infectious disease enough to be able to give you that information. I just know don't eat people brains, because people brains will give you prions disease, and prions disease is just a degenerative thing. It will destroy your brain and then you die.
What kind of brains can I eat?
I'm sure there's, like, animal brains that are perfectly safe, that are, like, they've checked them for cleanliness. Like, cow brain is... Sean has a cookbook that tells you how to cook everything.
Sure.
It literally is how to cook friggin' anything. And they do discuss how to prepare and cook brain in there. I've never read that part of it, so I don't have the information in my head. But I think it's specifically cow brain that they use as their example. So I'm sure there's going to be safe ones, right? Or the other fun probability is that this is all old stuff that has been since realized to be a bad idea and don't do this.
Yeah,
Like, they might have done this, 40 years ago and then be like, you know what? Maybe don't.
yeah. I've never heard of anyone eating brains. I wonder if you eat the cow brains if you go to bed and have cow dreams about being a cow.
I don't know, but I feel like eating brains is like a delicacy.
Yeah, right. It's one of It of course reminds me of the Temple of Doom.
Everything reminds you of Temple of Doom nowadays, though.
A lot of stuff. Yeah, we are living in a Temple of Doom for sure. So this episode has a star date for the first time.
Well, that we caught. The Man Trap has one. I found it on
Oh, it
Memory
does.
Alpha.
Oh, we're dorks.
We are. Well, we just missed it. It's fine. But no, I looked it up on Memory Alpha. The Man Trap was 1513.1 to 1513.8. And
but is
Trap,
that is said in the episode The Man Trap? Like,
I don't know if it was said, but that's what
Okay.
Memory Alpha has. So I would assume it's been said because I can't see them.
Because where else
And to
are they going to
clarify-
get that? Yeah.
Yeah, and to clarify for anyone who's listening who doesn't know, Memory Alpha is the Star Trek wiki. Like, it's literally just all of the Star Treks, all of the wiki.
Yep.
It's Wikipedia for Star Trek. Based off of a database that comes up in the shows eventually. I think it was TNG that Memory Alpha first comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Charlie X was 1533.6 to 1535.8. From what I've been able to figure out with a little bit of, reading on star dates, because of course this is now a thing I'm trying to figure out how to understand them. That is basically 2 days. It takes place over the course of about 2-3 days. It's 1,000 star units per Earth year.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, no, it's been an interesting read, and I'm definitely going to be doing some more on it because, I found a WikiHow on how to actually make star dates from the real date, and it looks like there's 2 methods. One of which assumes they both have different starting years, and depending on what year you use as your base year to determine the star date, determines one of the additive numbers that goes into the very algebraic formula. So it's like 000 kind of thing, or 58,000, or 5800 or something like that. And so you have to know what the base year that they started with was to be able to backtrack it or go forward. Hence why it looks like I might have been getting some of those confusions around the dates when I was talking to you. So yeah. This one here takes place in, I think it was 2324 or 2364, somewhere in that range it looked like. I can't remember exactly when, though, based off of the star date year.
Yeah, and that sounds about right to me.
Yeah, no, it's only a couple hundred years in the future. Actually, it's 200 years and a couple of months in the future from now.
I hope we're flying around on Enterprises and not all extinct.
We'll see. Zephyr Cochrane's only got 40 years to figure out warp drive. You know what I mean?
Is he even? Yeah.
Oh man,
We're coming up
want
on Zephyr Cochrane Day.
I want there to have been a nerd out there who has a baby and names him Zephyr. Their last name's Cochrane.
Oh, his birthday would have happened very recently?
Yeah, I think it was a couple of years ago.
Okay. Kyle Reese's birthday was recently as well.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, do you know who that is?
I know the name.
It's the first guy in the Terminator series that goes back in time.
That's it. There we go.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, 2030s is when he's born. Zephyr Cochrane. I've looked him up.
Oh, okay. Oh, so he's got a little while. He's got a little while to get here.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't see a specific thing, but that actually makes. Okay, so I'm going to go completely unrelated to this episode real quick. But if he's
we
born
have been so far.
No, we touched base on it. We hit the star date thing real quick.
Okay. No, please go ahead.
I want to point out First Contact, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when they go back in time in First Contact, they go back in time to 2063.
Okay.
Okay. Cochrane was born in the 2030s.
So he was 30.
He was like early 30s in First Contact.
He must have drank a lot.
There's no way that man was in his 30s. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that man was 60 when that movie was made, at least.
Easily.
Maybe not, but
I don't know.
He was up there.
He was up there, yeah.
That was not a 30-year-old man.
Well, he was born in 1940, and I believe that one came out in like the mid to late 90s.
I would say 98, 99.
Yeah, I've got it in here. I'd have to find it as like in my spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Because I have a spreadsheet because I'm that nerd.
Which is great. We're going to collect a lot of data, and maybe we'll figure out chronologically when this all takes place. I'm pretty sure we landed on
96.
As far 96 is what it came out in 96. That movie.
According to what I've got here, which I pulled off of the internet for like one of the Wikipedia pages had every movie, every episode where I could put like the original air date, and yeah, it looks like Star Trek First Contact, specifically the movie. The movie specifically was released November 22nd, 1996, and I say that because apparently there's also, a season 4 of TNG episode called First Contact that was released in 91.
Okay,
and there was a Lower Decks episode called First Contact that was released
First Contact.
Yeah.
Do they do a second contact on Lower Decks? Is that something?
Yeah, that was the whole point of their ship. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They aren't important enough to do First Contact like Enterprise. They do Second Contact where they make sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. Yeah. But yeah, so that's my little completely unrelated but funny thing is a 54-year-old man was hired to play a 30-something-year-old, like a young 30s.
I almost feel like I mean, it could have been that the intention of the scriptwriter or whatever wanted the character to be 30-ish, but I almost feel like some of this is just like math that doesn't add up because different writers wrote different things at different times. Like,
totally feels like that, yeah.
I mean, he is like drinking and partying, and he wants to drink and party instead of like finish his warp drive. Which, I mean, if you're 33, that's how you behave.
Well, and we do have to also keep in mind that back in the 90s, people did age differently than we do nowadays. It's actually been noted that due to less smoking, less working outside, better overall diets, like there's a bunch of stuff that we do now that we weren't doing 30 years ago. So people are actually aging better than we used to. Like the girls on Golden Girls were early 50s.
Oh, yeah, they all looked like they were 70.
Yeah, like the lady who played Sophia, I think was like late 50s, early 60s, like the old one.
Yeah, she was the youngest actress.
Was she the youngest? I don't know. I just know the characters.
Maybe
I'd have to Google it.
That may or may not be true, but it might be. It might be.
Either way, they were the actors playing these characters were like in their 50s. The characters are supposed to be like early 50s or maybe even late 40s for Blanche. I think it is the one who had a different guy every week. Yeah,
there was no way she was in her late 40s. The character.
I don't know. They were all.
Although I mean, I also think
young.
in the 80s or so, people probably thought that a 50-year-old woman was basically a mummy.
I mean, maybe.
There, I mean, especially like in Hollywood, and maybe just as far as tropes are concerned, people were like, well, if a woman that is older and is not married, and it's kind of like part of the point of the show was like, why would it even be interesting? No one thinks about these type of people, and so here we go, and hooray! I mean, there's definitely a sort of discarding of old ladies. It sounds terrible, but I mean that's what I feel like the culture was like. Well,
it still is. It's still talked about in Hollywood nowadays, where like older dudes can hook. If you look at like age gaps, a lot of time the age gap. Oh, he's awful. But like a lot of the age gaps are the guy is 20 to 50 years older than the woman. As a lot of the times when they're talking about Hollywood age gaps, it's like 10 plus years, and it's usually the dude who's 10 plus over the chick. And it comes up in both actual relationships and in the television character relationships, the movie, and their fiction relationships. It's the woman is got to be young. Like Anne Hathaway, I think it was someone, one of the actors who's my age played a grandmother recently in a movie, and they're like 40, and everyone like lost their shit because how the hell are you? I don't remember who it was now. I want to say it was Anne Hathaway, but I may be wrong. I don't know. But yeah, like people lost their shit because this person's way too young to have done that. And it's like, no, that's the age of a new grandmother.
Real
That's
possible.
that's very possible.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you're 40 and they're putting you in a grandmother role rather than a mother role.
Yep.
So welcome to Hollywood. But anyways, that was unrelated. Back to the episode at hand. So Charlie X.
Yeah, so a couple people come by. Captain Rampart, Captain Raymond. They come by from the
You've got notes, but they're hidden.
From the Antares. I didn't write down the name of the ship on the first page, but Captain Raymond from the Antares comes by, and him and his first officer or whoever is with him, it's obvious to me. And I sort of knew that there was going to be trouble, but it was obvious to me that these two wanted to get rid of this kid as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And they had very good reason to.
Yeah, Rampart definitely had seen enough of Charlie's bullshit on the Antares before he came to the Enterprise.
Now, I wasn't... So something that happens early on. First we go to... And I love the pedal machine. I love when because I feel like, and again, it could be just I have a memory of seeing this one time, and I remember being like, why the fuck would they have an upside down pedal machine to? I mean, who knows how they test your physical fitness in the future? But the first thing that Leonard McCoy does is strap him onto the pedal machine and make him pedal upside down. And if anyone. And it's such a weird prop because it looks like two boxes kind of installed in the wall at a slant. Yeah. And he's just pedaling with the gravity, just kind of letting them slide out of the wall. It's a weird looking prop in a weird looking place. And sometimes that's the kind of thing that really sticks with me. But what I wasn't clear about is how soon it is after that, the scene where Captain Raymond from the Ataris calls up Kirk, because if I was Captain Raymond and I couldn't say anything in front of Charlie, as soon as I was off that ship, I'd be like, yo, Kirk, chuck that kid out the airlock.
Yeah. but he's not fast enough either, though.
Yeah, because Charlie hears, and spoilers. Here's the spoiler. Charlie's an asshole.
I'm sorry, if you're listening to this podcast, you should be expecting the spoilers.
Yeah, and really that's with everything me related, that's always the case.
But yeah,
most people know, but if anyone, any strangers,
Yeah, but no, Charlie is an ass. Rampart tries to let us know, and Charlie blows them up.
From far away, probably. It seems.
Well, I mean, he's got magical superpowers, as is very quickly evident throughout the episode, right? So
yeah, he sends people away to the cornfield like the kid in the Twilight Zone.
He does that. He turns one of them into an iguana, I think it was, or a chameleon, one of the two. It was one of those. I think it was an iguana. Poor Uhura too. So yeah, the singing part.
Oh my god!
Now that you watch the episode, there's that whole scene. So they're still very early into the episode. Rand and Charlie are going to meet up and hang out for a bit, and there's Spock is futzing around on a musical instrument, and Uhura overhears, and she starts singing along, and all the focus goes off of Charlie and onto them from his would-be romantic partner. And he can't take it, right? He's got massive incel energy there, and he just doesn't want this. So he gets rid of her voice. He breaks the musical instrument, and he basically makes it so that both of her and Spock have to leave, so that Rand has nowhere to focus but on him again.
Yeah, everyone pay attention to me. I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
God, I fucking hate him like I hate Light Turner and his fucking Babadook. Wow, how many times am I gonna mention Light fucking Turner in this episode?
Yeah.
This is like this is going to be one of those classic characters that I mean, I even, it's a very Q-ish kind of character, but he's just, he's just a little shit. Just a fucking little incel shit.
He really is. And they really, really drive it home repeatedly throughout the episode, just over and over.
Yeah,
where
they
he keeps,
really just please continue, but.
Yeah, no, he every interaction he has, because he has decided almost immediately, a woman is nice to him, and he's never seen women before, because as was mentioned before we watched the episode, in this one here, he spent 14 years alone on this planet, had no human interaction. The only thing he had was a computer, and he's now a 17-year-old boy, so he's learning all about himself at the same time and like going through all that fun, awkward teenager bullshit. And he meets a woman, and she's, quantifiably, subjectively, she's an attractive woman. There's no question about it. Rand is a very beautiful woman. And yeah, he decides that this is the one he's going to be with. Screw what she has to say, and it is all of those creepy stalker incel vibes that every person who has been in that situation, like, it's immediately like, no.
I think it's very important to note that that she's the first woman who has ever been nice to him, which is exactly how the type of thing that triggers that kind of behavior in an asshole.
Oh, it's so bad.
There's a lot of real shit in this episode. It's
honestly, in a lot of ways, as much as it is a sci-fi campy adventure from the 60s, like it is still true today. I have been the recipient of a non-magical Charlie in the past. Like, I have experienced exactly what Rand is going through, and it is so not cool.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's unfortunately, it's just what it is. We're working as a society to make it less of that, and I can't wait for that to happen for the future generations. But
oh my god, can everyone chill out, please?
I'd love it.
God damn it!
But not to get too serious on a fun little show.
Sure.
Yeah, no, it's really true to real world experiences, and I commend them for their accuracy.
Totally. I would like to talk about the song that Uhura sings.
Go for it.
About Spock.
Again, they're setting up a romance that didn't happen until the movie.
They really are. Even is it Yeoman Rand that's kind of egging her on? Yeoman Rand is like, "Go for it, Uhura."
Yeah,
and Spock's like a little bit annoyed, but then he kind of and she's totally singing a song about how he's a hot spaceman going around slaying hearts on various planets, and like, boy, she's laying it on thick.
Very forward, yeah.
Go for it, Spock. A big part. So there's a lot of ass slapping in this one. That's why I feel like I mentioned that I feel like I know this episode because I've heard someone talk about the one with the ass slapping.
Yeah, I can see that being this one. I mean, we've got the two guys who do the generic man butt spank that happens in sports.
Right.
Which I've never understood, by the way. Charlie sees it.
You never.
I've never.
You know what? I'm gonna digress before I start talking about what sports guys are like, because it makes a lot of sense. Just that's all I'll say.
That's fair. I as an outsider, it makes no sense. But anyways, you got that one there that Charlie sees, and he's like, and he kind of like latches onto this as a thing that he can do.
He's like, oh man, people on this ship slap each other on the ass. Where's that Yeoman Rand? I'm gonna give her a magic potion that I pulled out of my pocket.
He finds Rand as they're finishing up their chat and their agreement to meet later on in a moment that she is very clearly meaning as friends, and he's very clearly meaning as date.
Oh yeah.
So he spanks her on the butt. She's all like, nah, bro, that ain't okay. Talk to Kirk. And I love that she's like, talk to Kirk or McCoy.
Yeah,
like,
but she doesn't have time. She doesn't need to explain this shit to him.
No, but like, of all the people to send this kid to, the captain or the doctor.
Go talk to Kirk, of all people.
And then there's more butt slapping later on, even after that.
Yeah, he slaps Kirk on the ass.
Yeah.
And by the way, all of that happens before they get the call from the Antares. So I don't know what Captain Rampart was doing.
I don't know. He was like,
he's like, I better give him some time to cool off.
it
Well,
might
you know
have been
what
a
he was
case
as
of,
a plot element is what the
it might have been a case of as we see, I'm going to jump right to the end here. As we see
Go
at the
ahead.
end of the episode, Charlie has a bit of a range of how much he can control things, how far he can control things, all that
right.
stuff. So
Yes,
it might be
yes,
related
yes.
to that.
Yep.
I don't know. I obviously am not the writer. I'm not Gene Roddenberry, so I don't know what was going on in his head with it, but it could just be a limit of that. It could be I'm looking too in depth in it, and he's just like, whatever, this is a good spot for the ship to blow up. We need something to energize this little scene. I don't know.
No, I mean, it really, as a plot element, you get some hints that this kid is fucked up, and then you get, a bigger hint, so it works that way. But really, it could be that the Antares, their, transmitters were down, just like the Enterprises end up being down. And once they regained control, they were like, Kirk, look out. And Charlie was like, uh-oh, fuck you.
Yeah. Oh, I can't control your ship anymore that way. So it just gets to blow up now. We're done. You cannot stop them anymore.
He says there was a loose panel or something he knew about that he vanished away, and it caused the ship to implode.
Yeah.
Hey, I think this is... Oh, please.
No, go on.
I think this is the first time we see ridiculous chess. Is it?
Oh, my word.
It's definitely the first time we see it played and talked about.
Well, I mean, it's also a case of it's only episode 2, right? So
Yeah.
there's gonna be so much more Kirk chess that happens, but oh, it's so bad. And I don't know how well you could tell, but he's in tights under his tights, and it's just sometimes the costuming department. I really question their choices.
You didn't like Kirk's tights?
I didn't like the tights under his tights or his tights. Oh no, I don't like that outfit at all.
You think Shatner was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this scene without a shirt on. You think that was his choice? I almost kind of can see him doing that, even though he knew he was going to be sucking his gut in.
I mean, I could see it. I could also see it easily enough just being the director being like, no, take your shirt off. Let's have something look like you've actually been working out. Why would you be working? Why would you have a pile of clothing on? Why would you be in a robe to work out? That's stupid.
Right.
Whereas everyone else is in a robe to work out because they're not the captain being like, check out my guns.
I almost feel like it was Shatner's choice. He was like, I gotta show off my captain's bod.
I don't know. I feel like it could go either way, honestly.
It really could. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was an interesting little scene, especially where he's trying to teach Charlie the basics of martial arts. Literally, if you've ever done any type of contact sport or sport where you can get hurt, the first thing they will teach you in everything, everyone, always.
Yeah.
There's nothing more important than not taking the hit to yourself.
And Charlie quickly gets bored. But it's almost like, and again, it's almost like the type of person that wants to learn something, and as soon as you start showing him the basic thing, which is not, the fully realized thing that they want to learn, you start showing them the basics and they're like, nah, fuck it. Except with this kid, he's got to vaporize someone on the way out.
Yeah, no, it's come up actually in real life for me with when I went back to school and started learning a second language. Anytime people would talk to me about the second language I was learning, it's always, well, can you teach me the bad stuff? No, I don't care about how to have a conversation. I want to learn the bad words and nothing else.
How do I swear?
Yeah. And granted, martial arts versus a language, it's the skills are a little bit different.
It's a different, learning.
But it's
there are
the same
things that
idea.
happen, yeah.
And he's also, it felt to a degree, not just that it's not what he wanted to learn, but also he wasn't amazing at it out the gate, so therefore it wasn't worth learning.
Yeah,
this is stupid. I'm bad at it.
Such a type.
He is. He really is. And I don't know how much this was a type or a trope even back in the 60s.
There must have been kids like this, though.
But I feel like as well, this is a trope / type that stands out more in a modern context. Again, I don't know how much it was back then, but this has become such a trope and such a talked about thing for toxic masculinity and toxic personalities in general in modern society. that it just feels like we might just have finally got a name for this thing that was happening, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Roddenberry knew about it in 1966. Good job,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah, no, the show is very progressive for a reason.
No, a lot of this stuff is so smart, and I mean, I'm sure some of the stuff that I think is smart might be accidental or stuff that just happened along the way, and a lot of it might be me putting a modern reading on old stuff. But despite whatever is going on in my head, I do think that this is an incredibly well written show, and it is, and a lot of it is real smart.
It's so much smart, and like it's smarter than I thought it was. Like I've watched this stuff before. I know what the show's like. Da 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 da. It's smarter than I thought it was.
Yeah,
I forgot how smart early Trek was. And like you said, it could be I'm placing modern perspectives on things that weren't, and all that stuff, like everything you've just said. But it feels smarter than I remember. You know?
Yeah. He describes to Yeoman Rand how he feels about her, and he tells her that he feels hungry, that his whole body feels hungry, and I physically cringed.
But so it really is just the awkward high school teenager who doesn't know how to flirt and who's bad at it, and who just it feels more and more as you watch the show, it really feels like that kid who has been told if you tell women that you like them and you do all this here, then you will get a girlfriend, you will be popular, and you will be cool, and he just wants to do that, and he has no idea what he's doing, so he's doing all of it wrong.
And he still thinks, well, I did this and I checked this off and I did this and I checked this off the box. I did everything on the list. Why am I not being rewarded like I feel I should be?
Yeah, 100%. That's what it feels like watching the episode, at least for me.
And now that I'm not getting my way, I'm just going to destroy everything around me and destroy the goodwill of everyone that I know.
Yep. Well, like
here
I said,
we go.
There was that whole bit with Kirk midway through the episode that where he was humanizing the kid.
Yeah, well, Kirk is arguing on the kid's behalf right to the very end.
Yeah, because it
Good
is a
guy,
case
Kirk.
of it's this kid who doesn't know any better. He doesn't know how to handle his own emotions. He doesn't know how to process what he's going through. He does not have a frame of reference to even start dealing with this in a mature and reasonable way.
Yeah.
And so he's acting out, and he's acting like a toddler because that's all he knows how to do. I mean, he's basically a feral child. He's slightly better than the average feral child because he has language acquisition because he had the computer to talk to him. That's the only difference.
Yeah, I wonder how much the computer even really taught him anything and how much it was just the Thasians.
I mean, I feel like they would have had some impact because they did grant him the power, and why else would they if they hadn't? But it still comes off very much like
he must have learned a lot about humanity and society.
Well, I don't feel like he did, though. I
but
feel
not
like
enough. Well, facts, but not, mechanics.
Yeah, I'm not saying that like they didn't tell him this stuff. It's just I don't think it actually sunk in. Because like again, why else would they pick up their poorly behaved child from school and cart him off home to detention? You know what I mean? Or sorry, to grounding. You know what I mean? Like that's how the end of the episode feels. So the disappointed parent who's like, I'm sorry, I got the screenshots of those messages you've been sending to the girls in your class, and this is not okay.
Yeah. I wonder if there can be hope for Charlie, because we certainly have to hope that the toxic people in our lives can eventually learn and change.
Oh yeah. I really wish. I don't think they ever went back to Charlie. I think he was a one and done.
I think he was done. I think they took him away and threw him in non-corporeal space jail.
But I really would like to have seen a revisit to him, or have him come back like in a later series, even where he just shows up and it's like, no, he's normal, quote unquote. Like he's not.
Yeah, he has grown.
He's not gross anymore. He's gained that temperance in his 30s or 40s or whatever it is. Like, I really wish they had revisited him. I think that would give a lot of hope to people who are dealing with that stuff on a day-to-day basis in general right now. To see that, like, the person can grow and be better instead of being stuck as the same constant abuser. But at the same time, most don't. So having that realism is also useful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Because honestly, at the end of because me viewing at the end of the episode, I'm like, yeah, fuck him up. Vaporize this kid. Send him to Space Jail, you know? But Kirk, I mean, even at the very end, Kirk is like, he should be with his own people. He's going to have to learn how to not vaporize people and steal starships. It's it's really tough. Like, what the fuck do you do with someone like this? And, you know, do you eventually forgive people like this? Or do you go around with a list of people you're never going to talk to again? Because that's what it's like on this planet with this society. And these
it's really gonna be a case of like you've got to make that decision yourself in your own. This has been a very heavy episode. This is
heavy as fuck. No, this one is heavy as I can't. This is the second goddamn episode.
Yeah, but like it's tackling these and Star Trek's always done this. It's tackling this very, very heavy topic that was a real lived experience and very common.
Yeah, a real thing, a real thing.
Yeah. I don't 100%. I get where Kirk's coming from. Like I said when we were watching, I get where he's coming from as a defender and a Charlie apologist. I understand what his headspace is. I don't necessarily think he's right. I don't necessarily think he's correct in dismissing other people's concerns, especially Rand's concerns, who's actually taking the full brunt of Charlie's affections and obsession.
And she knows that she's got to take it seriously.
And Kirk's like, you know what? Like, it's just boys will be boys. It's fine. Like, no, sir, please. And so, like, there's a lot, and that's so real too.
Yep. Oh, yeah, because a lot of people will just not see it if it's because people who behave like this are so good at making their behavior not seem like anything that's a big deal to the people that are not directly involved in it and receiving it.
Or the other one that comes up is I'm really sorry, I misunderstood. I thought she was asking me out on a date.
Yep.
I didn't know that she was just meeting it as friends, and that wasn't clear to me.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Yeah. All of that fun stuff. So yeah, no, in no way do I say Kirk is right, and I don't think that how he handled it was the best way to handle it. That being said, I do see the perspective, and I can understand where he's coming from. He's still wrong, but I can see why he's saying what he's saying, and it makes sense. That's his headspace about it. You know what I mean?
I do.
Do not ignore victims when victims tell you something is happening, people. If you're going to take anything else from this, do not ignore victims.
All right, there it is.
But yeah, no, excellent episode. And so they have the song, they have him just continually terrorizing the entire ship the entire time, running loose and rampant, like a very poorly behaved and very poorly disciplined child. Latches onto Kirk as a father figure. Doesn't quite get to be full father figure with him because he starts actually taking over the ship because they start looking at trying to get rid of him because, no, seriously, get off the ship. And what are you supposed to do with this, too? This was the big chat that they had in the episode. Is what do you do with it?
Yep.
Where do you put an omnipowerful psychic being?
Who can just straight up take control of your ship the whole third act is that he has taken control of the ship and he's going straight to Colony 5 because then he can, basically he'll be on a planet full of people and can do whatever the fuck he wants and get away with it probably forever.
Yeah. I'm really glad that his parents showed up and took him home and hopefully disciplined him some. Well, his pseudo parents, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we can hope. The Phasians who gave him superpowers because he was stranded alone on their semi-corporeal society planet.
I have to assume that the planet itself is corporeal, despite the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the other fun one at the end. You've got a non-corporeal species with a very clearly non-corporeal ship who have collected this very corporeal being.
Yeah.
To fly through space. Like, how is he?
Back.
Yeah. How is that working, Mr. Roddenberry?
And is it even a ship or is it just a collection of their minds floating through space?
Well, I mean, it could even just be them themselves, like you said, like
Yeah.
clips in their minds of them themselves. Because wasn't there the episode where it was they had an episode of it specifically in Futurama where they were spoofing Star Trek, and they had the space cloud thing that was
Oh.
collecting all the actors and
Yeah.
making them act out episodes over and over again because he was a huge nerd, but he was just someone's kid.
Oh, that's amazing. I've seen like 3 episodes of Futurama, and none of them were that one.
If I find it again easily, I'll send you what season and episode, so you don't have to watch everything for it.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you.
But yeah, they had a bunch of the actual actors voice acted their characters and everything. Like they did a bunch of cameos.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and basically, yeah, there's this cloud. Heavy spoiler alerts, obviously.
Sure.
Collects them, accidentally gets, I don't remember how, but gets like Fry and the Planet Express crew
Yep.
as well on this planet. And Fry's a huge Star Trek nerd. It comes up repeatedly throughout the entire series, so he's fanboying hard. And they're being forced to act out different episodes, up to and including like Kirk ripping his shirt open and having like the bare-chested fight type stuff.
Yeah.
And all of this stuff is happening, and eventually, they're rebelling against him. They've made crude weapons. They're fighting back, and you get the mothery voice in the background. I don't remember the character's name, unfortunately, but basically being all like, "Steve, it's dinner time. Put your toys away. Let's go."
Yeah.
and that's the conclusion of the episode. Is Mom forces him to stop playing with the toys, and the Planet Express crew save the Star Trek actors and take them back to the Earth. Those who want to, but like they're all supposed to be heads in the jar because it's the year 3000.
Oh yeah.
So, I think one of them, I think it was Nichelle Nichols, but I can't remember. One of them was like, but I have a body. I don't want to go back, kind of thing too. Like it was a cool little episode.
Yeah.
And a very loving homage. It felt Lower Decks without Lower Decks, you know?
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it, and I'll send you at least season and episode number, you know what I mean?
Yeah, thanks.
But yeah, I don't remember how I got on there. Oh, right, so parents taking their non-corporeal
Parents
kid.
taking their non-corporeal kid home
Yeah.
to their non-corporeal jail.
Yeah. But yeah, it felt like that. It felt the ending of this episode where, they finally start tricking the kid to relinquish power because he's only got so much ability to control the ship and the people. So Kirk distracts him, and they start being able to shut things down. Or it's the Thalasians showing up. I'm not sure. It's not clear to me when I'm watching the episode which one is causing the comms and navigation systems to start being free. But
a little bit of both.
I think it's a mix of the two of them. It feels almost like, but yeah. So they get free. They talk to the floating green head for a moment, and then the head steals the kid away. Hopefully to learn how to be less of a dick, but probably not.
But he's throwing a tantrum while he's getting teleported away.
Yeah, he really was.
And the floating green head returns the vaporized, and we didn't even mention that this kid eventually goes into a rage because Yeoman Rand doesn't want to touch with him, and he fucking vaporizes her too. And we don't know if she's ever coming back. She does in the end of the episode. Anyone listening, now. But
yeah.
This is not the last time we will see a floating green head on Star Trek. I feel like there's 3 or 4 floating green heads throughout.
I feel like there's a few special effects that they really really like shot too. Yeah.
I mean, and some people like watching TV with a character they hate, but I'm gonna give this 6 out of 10, and 3 of those points are for the girl with no face.
Valid. I love this episode. It's awful. It's awful. It's all of this horror that is real life and terrible, and the people in it are all so very real in how they deal with it and how I see it getting dealt with in modern texts. Like I love this episode.
So it's working, is what you're saying. Yeah.
It is. It's up there. Like I'm gonna give this one an 8.5, honestly, out of 10. Like it's right up there. Like it's fantastic to me. I love the horror elements. I love the fact that he is that awful teenage incel who doesn't know what he's doing and is just wreaking havoc on everyone and throwing a temper tantrum the entire episode. Like I love everything. There's
Yeah, I really. Please, just I'll let you finish.
Yeah, no, there's no notes. Like it's fantastic. It's my wrap up.
Yeah. I feel like my memory. I feel like I was almost, Q's kid, Q Junior.
Eh.
I almost felt like I was almost thinking of that kind of annoying.
No,
because
he's
that
so
kid's
much
annoying.
worse.
This is a whole different boy. Yeah, this is a whole different thing.
No, Q2 was pretty solid, but Q2 was just a brat. Like he was just a brat. This is a dangerous. And yeah, that's the thing. Q2 I did not feel was dangerous. As much as he was way more powerful, he's not dangerous. This guy was dangerous. Yeah, this guy is a dangerous, unchecked power. Real world horror done very well. Love it. Love everything about it.
Great. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for hanging out and watching it. It's been a good night.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah. I'm thinking about putting these out on Sundays. And yeah, we got a couple in the can, so great.
Yay!
I'll stop recording now. All right, thank you for listening to The Least Ready Room. We got one more piece of business for this episode, and that's the question of the week, which we've talked about a little bit so far. The question of the week is, what is your favorite special power that a Star Trek character has, or receives, or uses, or whatever? It can be technology, an inherent racial ability, or any type of magical BS given to a character. Locke's response is, I know it doesn't count as a power exactly, but my first thought is Picard's ability to play the flute after the inner light. And that is interesting, because that does become part of his character. He goes into a weird virtual reality hallucination trap where time is dilated and he lives an entire other life and learns to play the flute. And when he comes out, he replicates a little pan flute and goes around playing it in a few more episodes. And that is, it's really interesting. It's like when you learn Kung Fu in The Matrix, except that's the thing that he retains, is that other character over there. I feel like it was like Gallon or something like a gallon of paint. Anyway, I think that's a pretty good answer. Yeah, I think it absolutely counts. So let's see. We've got Saint's answer, of course, was when Riker gets cued, and Weebs' as we mentioned, was Riker's superhuman fuckboy status. Riker has a lot of powers. Raven the GM says, this question makes me feel like I haven't taken in nearly enough of a show I thought I loved. Always did have a soft spot for Geordi. His visor pretty much does it all. His visor does have a lot of powers. It can see lots of different things, measure things, and do calculations and science right in his special visor. Surreptitious Music says Miles O'Brien's ability to speak in a Dublin accent and dislike non-Irish food, despite living in the 24th and a half century in goddamn space, and also that it pisses his wife off. Or everyone on the Enterprise D's power to simultaneously be obsessed with some aspect of 20th century Anglophone culture, but resist the temptation to have a cool dive bar with a good jukebox in it, instead heroically hanging out in what appears to be a conference room at a Holiday Inn because they have normcore superpower. Or just Troy's hairdo. Pete says, I think Troy's mom's intergalactic sex drive and ability to double any entendre. And I mentioned that one time Luxana Troy comes to DS9 and gives everyone a Beta Z cold, and they all start making out with each other. And that's canon. Oh, Weebs also says, how about when Lal gains the ability to feel, sadly before passing? Her father, Data, needed a whole special chip to feel feelings. Lal was able to feel feelings on her own, but it didn't last. And as we know now, there were many more generations of Data descendants. Perhaps too many. I talked about it for a bit one time on the internet, but we'll meet all those characters eventually. And yeah, that about wraps it up. The question for this week, because it's kind of we're doing a similar question because it's a similar episode, and the question is going to be. This one doesn't have to be Star Trek. What is a story that you like, or what is your favorite story that features an abuse of power? This can be godlike entities like we see here. It can be someone that simply has power granted by the government. It can be someone who has power over others simply because they are very manipulative and have a sort of stolen social power. So, yeah. Another way to phrase this is, who's your favorite superpowered asshole in fiction? And with that, I will leave you all until next week. This will be published on Sunday. The next episode is Where No Man Has Gone Before, where Gary Mitchell gets super godlike powers. I don't believe he does any sexual harassing, but he is an asshole. So, talk to you then.